My name is Mara Ellison, and I'm 29 years old. Most days you can find me under the hood of someone's truck with a socket wrench in my hand, my hair tied back, and the smell of engine oil clinging to my skin. I'm a mechanic in Boulder, Colorado, and people always assume a woman in my line of work must be tough, loud, or brash. But the truth is quieter. I've always been the soft one in my family, even if they pretended not to see it. The day it all began, I was standing in my garage with cold air leaking through the door and grease drying on my hands when my phone buzzed. I wiped my fingers on a rag and answered without thinking. My mom's voice came through the speaker, sweet and polished, the way she always sounded when she was about to say something cruel. "We're cutting you from Thanksgiving this year," she said. "Your sister wants her boyfriend to make a good first impression. Having you there would complicate things." The line went silent. No explanation, no hesitation, just that. For a second, I stood there staring at the floor, the concrete smudged with footprints and motor oil. I didn't argue. I didn't ask why. I didn't even pretend to be surprised. I just hung up. The hum of the shop lights buzzed above me, flickering over the open hood of the truck I'd been working on. Outside, winter wind swept against the garage door. Everyone else was preparing warm meals, family gatherings, laughter around long tables. And I was here. Alone. Again. But instead of collapsing, something inside me clicked. A quiet, steady tightening, like a bolt finally finding its place after years of rattling loose. It didn't feel like anger yet. It felt like clarity. I cleaned my tools one by one. Closed the hood. Turned off each light. Locked the garage behind me. I went home the way I always did. But for the first time, I didn't try to swallow the hurt. I let it sit. And that night, instead of begging for a place in their perfect picture, I wondered, really wondered, what my life might look like without them. The next morning, I woke to a pounding on my front door. Sharp. Violent. The kind of knock that rattles the frame before your heart catches up. I rolled out of bed, still in a loose t-shirt and pajama pants, my hair falling around my shoulders. When I opened the door, the freezing air rushed past me, and behind it was my entire family. My mother. My father. My sister, Ava. And her boyfriend, the one she'd apparently cut me out for. Their faces were red from the cold and from anger. Mostly anger. Mom didn't even greet me. She pointed a finger straight at me. "Why did you tell people you weren't invited?" I blinked. "I didn't tell anyone." "You must have," she snapped. "Your grandmother called us asking what happened. Do you know how humiliated we were?" Humiliated. That same word she used last night. As if my existence was something she had to hide behind her back like an embarrassing stain. Dad stepped forward, running a hand through his thinning hair. "You always twist things, Mara. You make us look like villains when all we do is try to help you." "Help me." That was rich. Ava crossed her arms, wrapped in a cream coat that looked like it didn't know what dirt was. She gave me a long, slow look from head to toe. "It's honestly unbelievable that you're doing this right now," she said. "You know how much pressure I'm under." I almost laughed. Pressure. Ava lived in a curated bubble, PR job, perfect Instagram feed, monthly brand deals. My existence shouldn't have threatened her, yet somehow it did. Before I could respond, her boyfriend stepped forward. Logan Hayes. Clean cut. Perfect hair. The kind of man Ava probably practiced smiling for in the mirror. He didn't look furious. He looked confused. Like no one had prepared him for whatever this was. Mom continued on, desperate to control the narrative. "Ava is building a certain image. Her career depends on it. You showing up in work boots and smelling like engine oil," Dad cut her off. "It's not wrong to ask you to stay home 1 year. We're tired of you making things difficult." Ava added, "It's literally not a big deal." This is about my future. I let them talk. Let them stack excuses and entitlement on top of one another like bricks, building a wall around their fragile version of reality. Finally Mom snapped, "Do you have anything to say for yourself?" Before I could open my mouth, Logan spoke. "Wait," he said slowly, staring at me again. "Mara Ellison. You're the one who restored that 72 Charger, right? The blue one?" The porch went silent. My breath caught. Not because he recognized me, but because my family didn't. Ava stared at him like he had spoken another language. "What?" "No, she just fixes cars." Logan shook his head. "No. She builds them. Restores them. People talk about her work all the time. I followed her projects for months." Dad scoffed. "You're kidding." Mom frowned, thrown completely off balance. Ava flushed deep red, like someone struck a nerve she didn't know she had. Logan's gaze stayed on me, steady, respectful, almost impressed. "Your craftsmanship is incredible." And just like that, everything cracked. Ava's perfect image. Mom's script. Dad's certainty. For the first time, someone in their world saw value in me, value they never acknowledged. And they hated it. No one spoke. Snow drifted behind them. The cold air settled heavy between us. Mom recovered first. She stepped in front of Logan with a stiff smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Well, that's nice," she said curtly. "But it doesn't change why we're here." Dad stepped in. "The roof is leaking again. We need you to fix it today." Ava added instantly, "And I need money for decorations for a holiday event. It's important. Can you transfer it by this weekend?" I stared. "You're asking me for money," I said slowly, "after uninviting me from Thanksgiving?" Ava rolled her eyes. "Don't be dramatic. This is separate." I felt something shift inside me again, stronger this time. This wasn't a crack. It was a break. A clean, necessary break. "No," I said. Mom blinked. "What did you just say?" I didn't raise my voice. I didn't shake. I didn't do anything dramatic. I just repeated it, calm and steady, like the words had finally found their rightful place in my mouth. "No. I'm not fixing your roof. I'm not sending money. Not anymore." Silence spread across the porch like frost. Dad stepped closer, jaw tight. "After everything we've done for you?" I held his stare. "You mean feeding me when I was a child?" That was parenting, not a lifetime contract. Ava scoffed like I'd personally offended her reflection. "You always help. This is literally your role in the family." "My role?" I asked. "Or the role you assigned me because it made your life easier?" Ava rolled her eyes. Here we go, Mara and her victim complex. Logan's eyebrows shot up. He looked at her, then at me, then back at her again. "You really talk to her like that?" he asked quietly. Ava stiffened. "Don't start." But Logan didn't stop. He looked at me with the kind of clarity that made my chest tighten, not from emotion, but from recognition. Someone finally saw what was happening. "Is this normal?" he asked me softly. "Do they always treat you like this?" For the first time in my life, I didn't try to protect them. I didn't make excuses. I just said, yes. That one word cracked something open. Logan exhaled sharply, almost like he'd been holding his breath. "Then they're wrong," he said simply. Ava spun toward him. "Why are you taking her side?" He shook his head. "Because she isn't wrong." The balance shifted again. Dad stiffened, red blooming across his neck. Mom's smile cracked sharply at the edges. Ava stared at Logan like the world tilted beneath her feet. Mom stepped in close, her voice rising. "We raised you. We gave you everything, No, I said. You gave Ava everything. I gave you everything else. Dad threw his hands up. We came here to talk responsibility. There it is again, I cut in. Responsibility. Your favorite word. The one you use every time you need something. But where was that responsibility when it came to respecting me? You're unbelievable, Mom snapped. You're ungrateful, Dad echoed. You're ruining everything, Ava cried. It was like listening to a choir that had practiced the same song for years. Logan stepped between them, just slightly. Enough to acknowledge that he saw the imbalance. Enough to make Ava's eyes widen. You know, he said quietly, if this is how you treat her regularly, maybe she's not the problem. Ava's voice broke. Why are you doing this? I need you on my side, Logan. Not hers. Logan shook his head. I'm on the side of whoever isn't being used. Dad pointed at the ground. We are her family. Logan didn't flinch. Family doesn't treat their daughter like a repair shop and a bank account. Mom gasped, outraged. Excuse me. A wind gust whipped through the porch, carrying cold flakes and tension. Ava crossed her arms. So what, now you're going to praise her? For fixing cars. Logan looked at her like he suddenly saw her clearly. For the first time. For building something with her own two hands. For helping people without bragging. For working hard while the rest of you dismissed her. Yeah. His voice was low and even. I am. Ava's face twisted, shock slipping into panic. My heartbeat was steady. My breath felt clean. This moment was a long time coming. Dad's voice rose. You're choosing her over Ava? Logan shook his head calmly. I'm choosing respect over ego. Mom jabbed a finger at me. You need to get over yourself before you lose every last person in your life. I met her glare without blinking. I already lost you. I'm just realizing it now. Ava stepped toward me, mascara smudged, voice brittle. You think Logan likes you? You think he cares about your little mechanic life? Logan cut her off sharply. Ava, stop. But she didn't. You're trying to ruin my relationship. No, I said. Your behavior is doing that. Not me. Ava's voice cracked louder. You're jealous, I held up a hand. No. I'm done. Mom froze. Ava blinked. Dad's jaw clenched. Logan exhaled like he'd been waiting for that word. Done? Mom echoed. Meaning what? I stepped back from the doorway, my voice slow and steady, no anger, no fear, just truth finally settling into its bones. It means the free labor is done. The money transfers are done. The midnight emergencies are done. The being your emotional punching bag is done. And the part where you disrespect me and still expect me to show up. That's done too. For the first time ever, they didn't have a prepared script. No rehearsed lines. No excuses waiting. Just silence. Cold, clean silence that felt more like peace than emptiness. Logan looked at me with something like respect, real and deep and uncomplicated. Ava's voice turned shaky. You'll regret this. No, I said softly. I regret not doing it sooner. Mom's face twisted. Dad's fists balled. Ava wiped her cheeks with angry, clumsy hands. And then I said the last thing they expected, leave. Logan took one slow step backward. Toward me. Not them. That was the breaking point. Mom stumbled. Dad muttered curses under his breath. Ava let out a strangled sob. But they left. One by one, storming down the porch, their footsteps swallowed by winter wind. When the door clicked shut behind them, my chest rose in the first steady breath I'd taken in years. It didn't feel like losing a family. It felt like finally gaining myself. Snow was already piling against the garage doors by Christmas Eve. Thick, quiet, soft enough to swallow whole footsteps. Inside, the heaters hummed and the amber string lights I'd hung weeks earlier cast a warm glow across the concrete. The garage smelled like cinnamon cider and engine oil. A strange mix, but somehow it felt right. It felt like home in a way my childhood house never had. People filled the tables, Mr. Bennett telling stories about delivering mail during winter storms, the teens from the shelter teasing each other over half-burnt rolls, little Lily running around with a cookie shaped like a lopsided star. Tasha wrapped me in a hug so tight I actually laughed trying to loosen her arms. It wasn't fancy. It wasn't curated. But it was real. It was mine. For the first time in my life, I felt like I belonged someplace without needing to earn it. I had just reached for the ladle to pour more cider when the garage door rattled so violently it made everyone jump. Conversation died instantly. Even the heater seemed to hesitate. I set the ladle down, wiped my hands on a towel, and walked toward the door. Before I even touched it, the metal shuddered again, and then, without warning, the doors flew open. Winter slammed into the room along with three voices I knew too well. My mother, my father, and Ava. Their faces were raw from cold and something hotter. Rage. Rage that had been simmering long enough to finally boil over. Mom pointed at me like she was accusing me of a crime. "You humiliated us," she screamed, her voice echoing against the rafters. "Do you know what your relatives said after Thanksgiving? After you told them lies about us?" Lies. That word twisted something sharp inside me. The entire room stared. Tasha's hand immediately went to Lily's shoulders. Mr. Bennett slowly rose, leaning on his cane. The teens shifted uncomfortably, unsure whether to stay or step back. Dad marched forward, jabbing a finger at me. "You think you're better than us now? With your little garage? With your followers?" He said the word, followers, like it was dirt in his mouth. Ava shoved through them, mascara streaked down her cheeks. "Logan left," she cried, voice cracking. "He walked out on Christmas Eve. He said he needed space from my family, and from me." Her eyes snapped toward mine like she wanted to claw the air between us. "This is your fault." A low murmur rippled through the garage. Tasha's jaw tightened. One of the teens whispered, "What the hell?" under his breath. I stood still, my hands buried in my pockets. "I didn't make him leave," I said quietly. Ava's voice rose to a trembling scream. "You took him from me." Before I could respond, a familiar voice came from behind them. "No. She didn't." Logan stepped into view at the doorway, snow dusted across his coat and hair. He looked calm, not angry, not shaken, just tired. Deeply tired. Ava whipped around. "Why are you here?" Logan didn't look at her. He looked at me. "I came because," he exhaled. "I wanted to be somewhere genuine tonight." Silence thickened. Even the snow seemed to pause midair. He turned to the room, then back to Ava's parents. "She built something here," he said, voice steady. "Something real. Something people appreciate. And none of you see it." Mom recoiled like he'd slapped her. "Excuse me?" Logan ignored her, eyes shifting to me again. "I'm sorry you've dealt with this for so long." A faint buzzing filled my ears. It was the sound of years of invisible hurt finally being acknowledged. Dad's voice exploded. "This is ridiculous. We're her family. Not you." Logan's jaw clenched. "Family doesn't treat her like a utility." Mom's eyes narrowed. "She's dramatic. Always has been." "No," Logan cut in. "She's exhausted." The room held its breath. Ava stepped toward him, pleading. "You're choosing her over me." He didn't hesitate. "I'm choosing decency." Ava's breath broke. Her shoulders shook. I felt a flicker of something, sadness, maybe, but it wasn't my responsibility to fix it anymore. Mom's voice snapped. Willow, tell him he's wrong. Tell him you didn't pay our bills. Tell him you didn't fix our house. Tell him we didn't rely on you. I stepped behind the workbench, opened the drawer, and pulled out the brown envelope I'd prepared weeks ago, long before I had the courage to admit why. I handed it to Dad. These are the payments, I said quietly. Everything I've covered for you over the years. Dad snatched it like a victory, until he unfolded the papers. Then his expression crumbled. Insurance payments, home repairs, emergency fees, utilities, car notes, medical bills, everything. Mom's face drained of color. Ava's lips trembled. You kept track, Mom whispered. No, I said. I kept boundaries. You just didn't notice them until now. A deep, thick silence swallowed the room. You're unbelievable, Dad growled. After everything we did, no, I said. After everything I did. Ava's voice broke into a raw scream. You ruined everything. Logan stepped between us, protecting me in a way no one in my family ever had. Stop blaming her for your behavior. Mom lunged forward, grabbing the papers as if she could rip the truth out of existence. No one will believe you, she hissed. No one will believe any of this. I gestured to the room around me. They already do. Every face in the garage watched her, not with cruelty, but with weary clarity. Truth hung in the air so thick it couldn't be ignored anymore. Dad's chest heaved. You'll regret this, Willow. No, I said softly. I regret letting it go on this long. Ava looked at Logan, her voice shaking. Please come home. This isn't who we are. Logan looked at her gently, but with finality. It's exactly who you've always been. I just didn't see it. Tears streaked down her cheeks. So you're choosing her garage over me? I'm choosing a place where people treat each other with respect, he said. Mom stepped back, crushed. Dad muttered curses. Ava's sobs echoed across the concrete. They looked smaller than I'd ever seen them. Exposed, deflated. No audience left to impress. I opened the garage door wider and stepped aside. Leave. This time, they listened. Snow swallowed their footsteps as they retreated, their silhouettes disappearing into the storm. Logan lingered at the threshold for a moment, then turned to me. You okay? I nodded. Something inside me had finally settled, not anger, not victory, just peace. I walked back into the warmth of the garage where my chosen family waited, gentle and patient. Let's eat, I said. And the room exhaled as one. The storm lasted through the night, but inside the garage, something felt lighter, almost like the air understood I wasn't carrying two families on my back anymore. After my parents left, everyone slowly eased back into their seats. Conversations restarted in soft waves, cautious at first, then warmer. It wasn't awkward. It wasn't tense. It was healing. Logan stayed the longest. He helped Mr. Bennett to his car, packed leftovers for the teens, even fixed a loose hinge on the back door without telling me. When he finally turned to leave, he touched my shoulder gently. You built something good here, he said quietly. Don't let anyone take it from you. I didn't trust my voice enough to answer, so I just nodded. He gave a soft half smile, then disappeared into the snow. The days that followed were quiet in a way I'd never felt before. Not the kind of quiet that comes from isolation but from peace. From uncluttered air. From space. Space to breathe. Space to exist. Space to become someone who didn't need permission to be enough. My parents didn't show up again. No calls, no messages, no sudden appearances. Even Ava went silent. Not out of maturity, but because she finally realized silence couldn't manipulate me anymore. Work at the garage picked up. The teens came back for Saturday lessons. Tasha and Lily brought a handmade thank you card with glitter everywhere. Even the winter sun felt different coming through the windows, softer somehow. Christmas passed. January stretched smooth and quiet. And I found myself waking up every morning with something I hadn't felt in years. Calm. Real, steady, grounded calm. One cold morning near the end of the month, the mail slot clattered. A single envelope fell to the floor. Thick, official looking. When I picked it up, my breath caught. Green First Bank Compliance Department. Inside was a document stamped with the bank's gold seal. This letter confirms that Miss Willow Ellison has been fully released from all liabilities concerning the joint mortgage and vehicle loan under the names of Linda and Ava Ellison. My hands trembled slightly as I traced the embossed seal. Relief washed through me slowly, warm and deep, like thawing ice. Mr. Diaz had kept his promise. I pinned the letter to the corkboard above my workbench, right beside the photo of the charger I rebuilt last year and a Polaroid of the teens holding tools upside down and laughing. For once, the wall looked like a story that belonged entirely to me. That evening, snow tapped lightly against the windows as I brewed tea. The garage was quiet except for the soft hum of the heater. When my phone buzzed, I almost ignored it. But the number on the screen made my breath still. Ava. I opened it expecting fire, accusation, or another attempt to twist the truth. But it wasn't any of those. Her message was 6 simple words: I'm sorry for everything. No excuses. I read it twice. 3 times. Then I set my phone down without replying. Forgiveness didn't require reopening the door. Sometimes forgiveness was simply letting something go without picking it back up again. I stood at the garage window, watching the snow drift under the streetlight. Seattle glowed softly beyond the rooftops, quiet and alive. A city full of people who didn't know me, didn't need anything from me, didn't expect me to shrink to fit their comfort. I breathed in the cold, clean air. For the first time in my life, I felt unchained. Not rebellious. Not triumphant. Just free. I no longer chased a seat at a table that never made room for me. I built my own table, in a garage that smelled like oil and cinnamon and laughter. And somehow, without trying, it filled itself. If you've ever had to walk away to save yourself, you're not alone. Share your story below, and subscribe for the next one.